to That Wrestling Podcast.
Welcome to That Wrestling Podcast. The good bad guys of Wrestling Podcast are back talking all things of the week that was in professional wrestling. I'm Brian. Kevin is here. Joe is here. I think we are all recovered from 4th of July festivities, guys. We're in the heat wave of July, and Money in the Bank is in the books, fellas. This was a record-setting event for WWE. The largest in-arena record at the O2 Arena, highest revenue in SmackDown history, which is an amazing number. And Money in the Bank, the highest arena revenue in WWE history. So insane. And guys, a lot went down. Why don't we start with the finish? We'll go kind of in reverse in this sense.
Oh, so we're starting with the main event?
Let's start with the main event. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, let's do that. We can start a number of places, but I mean, I think that this is the one that kind of perks your ears when you talk about what happened here. Bloodline Civil War, Usos, Solo and Roman. The match ends with the first pinfall loss of Roman Reigns. Joe is taking his victory lap in 3.5 years as Jey Uso gets the 1, 2, 3 and the O2 Arena explodes. Let's first talk just what did you think of the match? And then there's a rumor that came out afterward, and I could totally see this being true. A high-ranking WWE official said he had trepidation about Roman taking this pin. So let's talk about the match, and then was it the right call to have Jey pin Roman, or would you have held off until eventually, someday, maybe he gets pinned in a title match? Maybe. Someday. Joe, I guess, you can do the pat on the back and go from there.
Barry Horowitz, this one.
Oh, Barry.
I called it. I said it was going to be Roman taking the pin. It made the most sense. I'm glad that they stuck with that, because if Solo would have taken the pin, he did the month earlier, so at mid-afternoon brunch of champions, so didn't need to happen. Roman taking the pin was the right call, because it now gives him he can be beat. Now, easy question. Before Jey Uso, who was the last person to pin Roman?
Baron Corbin?
That was Baron Corbin.
There you go. Baron Corbin.
Yeah,
yes, it was. Okay.
Crazy.
I thought it was the right call. Now, when it comes to the match, this is where the negativity comes into play. It dragged. It was too long. Like, I even sent Kevin a text message going like, this is dragging. And you agreed with me on that one too. It didn't get good until the last 7 minutes. So the problem was it was 32 minutes long. It didn't need to be that long. It could have been 15. But I felt like the match really dragged, especially with, we're going backwards. We're going to know that some greatness happened beforehand, that it was ready to be over. And it didn't need to be 32 minutes long. I was very disappointed, because I was really looking forward to that match. Even on last week's show, I said, who's going to win? The fans. I feel like the fans were the ones who did not win in that match, who were there. They were chanting just to basically get it going.
Yeah. Kev, it sounded like you were agreeing with Joe as far as just how the match played out.
It was wild. So, and this is nothing against the match, the first half, because we texted, and then immediately after we texted a minute later saying okay, now it literally flipped the switch 180. I think everything leading up to it was you were on a high, right? In that first half, it was it's not that it was nothing new that we saw. It was just it just dragged. I'll just say it like that. But I loved the match. I loved the finish. I loved the point where it got to almost to the finish, where the dragging of Jimmy on Jey or Jey on Jimmy and Roman pinning both, because Roman wanted to be of them, right? Both of them. Where the Usos, didn't matter who won as long as he pinned. But he got pinned in the tag team setting, right? One-on-one, totally different. He can take the pin. It doesn't make it any less legitimate of him looking weak. I don't think he looks weak that he took the pin. I think once somebody beats him one-on-one, totally different, right? But that match, that second half, that thing was fireworks. Like the crowd, the crowd the entire time, man. What was it? Before that event, Night of Champions was amazing.
Saudi crowd was great.
O2.
The Puerto Rico crowd.
Puerto Rico crowd. Puerto Rico
was
crowd is still the
amazing.
best.
O2 crowd.
They
I
can
don't
fight for.
Yeah,
We'll
those two
talk.
can fight, but I would go with Puerto Rico crowd. That could be a 32-minute match. Puerto Rico crowd versus the O2. I would watch that.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll get to Cody in a little bit, but that crowd singing Cody's song,
we'll get to that later. Let's save it for the show.
jaw dropping. But I liked the finish. I loved the spike / spear. I was like, there's no fucking way he's gonna get.
Yeah, that was fun.
No way. And then he did. And then Roman, no way he's gonna get out of that. And he did. And like, I love the afternoon event, man. I did.
Me too.
Yeah.
I love it at 3:00 in the afternoon. Oh man.
Like it's
Wait till later in this review.
We'll
to talk
have
about
a
that.
question about
Oh,
that in
man.
a few as
But-
well.
But
I know what all those people in Los Angeles feel like when it's in the afternoon. Oh, it was amazing.
I liked the first half, loved the second half, really enjoyed the pin. I can't wait till Friday SmackDown. That's the best thing. I cannot wait.
So, but the trial of Roman Reigns,
Yeah.
the trial of the
Nice.
bloodline, and
Oh, it's gonna be so good.
as good as that one was on Raw,
Can't wait
for the
for
Raw
SummerSlam.
30 was boy. So we'll see how that goes. And yeah, it's leading into SummerSlam. And yeah, guys, I didn't know what you were going to say because as I'll talk about in a bit, I had to duck out a little early due to a commitment. So I wasn't on the text chatting with that, but I thought the same thing. I thought the first half of the match was just a little slow, and mainly it was when Roman was on offense. It was just a lot of just slow action. And for me, when I hear like Bloodline Civil War, I'm picturing like, a brawl like the Blackpool Combat Club and the Elite have where it's just like chaotic. And it wasn't that. And it got that way kind of near the end where, of course, Solo tried to get through the table with Jimmy and the back and forth. So it did. Yeah, it got great. The ending, I mean, was just amazing to see Roman get pinned and go, holy shit, Roman got pinned. So that's fantastic. But yeah, I thought the exact same, that I was like, this match isn't doing it for me here. Like, let's pick it up. And it got there eventually, but it's not going to be an all-time classic, I think, in my mind.
Well, here's my thought about it, like why it seemed like it was dragging. Maybe Vince was right. Relatives don't transcend in the ring. Best friends, for some reason, beat the crap out of each other.
Mhm.
And it's amazing. Like when you had the Click in the 90s, like all had great
Yeah.
matches. When you had like basically Brett fighting against his boys, all had great matches. The only one, like you could say Brett and Owen are like the rule, like, basically takes away that rule.
Exception of the rule.
Exception of the
Yeah.
rule. But maybe he was right, because when, like, think about it, like when it was the Hardy Boys, when they fought each other one-on-one, it wasn't that great. Maybe it's the whole, like, when you're actually like, relatives,
Yeah.
you're
I
not
don't know.
you're not going at full speed. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we also saw
Who
at
knows?
the beginning, Solo getting a little whooped, and then Roman yelling at him, "Tag me!" Right, and then you saw a little animosity from there. So it was almost like was Solo holding back a little bit? Was he getting
Oh,
frustrated?
I'm waiting for Solo to snap.
Mhm.
So in
the
It's gonna
seeds
be
are
amazing.
planted.
So that
Solo
second
and Heyman together. That's what it's going to be.
That was another thing, was just the look on Paul's face when the
Mhm.
pin went down and everyone's going to erupt. And he just stood there with his jaw open, like he could not believe what he just saw.
Like
He
he had
had
that,
so
that
much.
same look when Brock pinned The Undertaker.
Except then he exploded out because he was just
Well,
doing,
you
oh
hung
my
up
God,
on your future
Brock,
wife.
you did it. I did. This was a moment that needed to be enjoyed fully. I was not going to miss that. So decisions were made and I don't regret it. The marriage
me.
too, by the way, that's all good.
Yeah.
Decision was made. I don't regret it.
Hey, yeah. Speaking of regrets,
Don't worry, she's not listening.
no, she doesn't. Not
doesn't
listening
listen.
at all. And by the time, okay, later the day of when this airs, I'll be out of state. So maybe by the time she would get around to it, I'd be on a
'cause
jet plane.
Because podcasts are always known for being local.
Yes,
You can't be hearing worldwide.
Well, I'm just saying, by the time
how you doing in Australia, mate?
When it drops, I will be here. By the time later on, she may not be. But anyway, where was I? I think it's the right call to make the pin. Roman can still be champion for 1,000 and a million days. If this is setting up, the likelihood, let's say, of Jey Uso versus Roman, it puts a little doubt into the fact of maybe he actually can do it, because Jimmy will be there to take out Solo on the other side, and there's an angle there to get the W. So I do think it's the right call. I'm shocked they did it. It was an amazing moment, but I'm glad they did do it, and I think the equity has been built up in Roman's title run to keep him as strong as ever. So let's start now at the beginning of the show. Men's Money in the Bank kicked things off. Highly entertaining match. Your winner, Damian Priest, he grabs the briefcase after knocking off the ladder the huge crowd favorite, LA Knight. Guys, we all picked LA Knight to win.
I know. I'm so bummed about that. I've been picking Damian Priest for like 3 weeks, and then when it came to the picks, I'm like, I'm changing my mind.
We couldn't go wrong with a lot of those guys.
But I did say last week, I said as much as I want Damian Priest to win. So at least, like, if I'm wrong, the person who I really wanted to win, they pulled the trigger on it, and I'm very happy about it. Very happy about the winner.
And that's my question, just because, we all thought the same. I thought the same of like, I could see Logan. I could see LA Knight, and I can see Damian Priest. There's angles that make it all make sense. But guys, that crowd, LA Knight was like hitting a DDT and people were standing up, like waiting for him to climb the ladder. It was like, something we haven't seen in a long time. I don't think, maybe since like the Yes movement.
I would agree.
So seeing that, and then Damian Priest does win, when I watched it, it was definitely like all right, good for Priest. He deserves it. But ooh boy, I don't know if this was the right call after all. What did you guys think?
They have to have other plans.
I hope so. Yes.
They have to. There has to be other plans for him. They can't let the jetpack off, especially since he's 40 or 41 years old. It's not like you can, Austin Theory, go back to developmental, join in the way, come back, and we're going to put the strap on you a couple years later. No. He's too hot right now. The crowd, and I understand, excuse me, the crowds love him. He's taken a lot of losses, right? He hasn't won that much this year, but there has to be other plans. If it's going to be a US or somehow intercontinental, maybe one of those.
SmackDown.
You never know what's going to happen. But something is in the pipeline, and I'm hoping it's the US title. Maybe we'll see him in Theory down the road. SummerSlam's in what? 5 weeks? Something's
we're 5 weeks away, and he's a SmackDown wrestler. So I was kind of wondering, like, are they going to pull something with him on Raw on Monday just because of the momentum? But they held off. So really interested to see what happens on Friday night. Joe, again, I know you already touched on it about, like, I was thinking Priest, and then I went with LA Knight, and the crowd, man. Like, did it even second guessed it for you? I don't know.
I even re-listened to last week's podcast, and I was like, it's because I went last. If you would have had me pick first, I would have stuck with Damian Priest. But you two convinced me so much. You did, and it was and Kevin was in my head.
That's right.
Kevin stayed out of my head for
now.
You
probably changed it because I changed mine from EO to Bailey because I didn't want to copy.
You did that a few times.
Oh, you did the opposite. You did copy.
Yeah, I did copy because I was like, wow, you guys made a good point. And that's the last time I'm going to listen to you. I'm just kidding.
Hey, Joe, I want you to invest in this pyramid scheme.
Damian Priest was the right call. It has the most potential for future storylines.
Yeah.
LA Knight is over no matter what. He doesn't need the briefcase. If anything, the briefcase would hold him back. Like, think about it. Like, when it comes to Money in the Bank briefcase winners. The last couple have kind of been underwhelming.
So who was it before
Austin Theory?
Mm-hmm.
Before that was Big E, and he got injured.
Well,
and
but he cashed in and won.
He cashed in, but then he lost it like a month and a half later. He had one title defense.
Okay.
It was pretty like, is that what you want for LA Knight's first title win? No, you don't want that. He could elevate the US championship because quite honestly, Austin Theory's not doing it.
Yeah.
Like he beats John Cena at WrestleMania clean and like nothing. Cricket.
He just hasn't had a feud since
he
then.
hasn't had a feud, but
thing.
he hasn't done anything. He didn't do anything prior to it either because Cena was never there to build up the match.
Right,
I think it's a little bit on that too.
Yeah.
I think with LA Knight going after that, and he could elevate the US championship for the rest of the year and then make a run at the Royal Rumble. I could see that happening. Like I could see him winning the Royal Rumble. That would be huge. That would be like a blow the roof off. And then he goes after the championship on Raw.
Yeah.
So he can stay away from Roman. He's on the correct show. SmackDown is the better show for him. He would get lost in the shuffle on Raw, being on the 3 hours, but on SmackDown, that 2 hours, it's such a tight running show. I'm not that upset about him losing. I thought he made his point on Saturday. The crowd's into him no matter what. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
But Damian Priest, that story is way better. And he earned it. Come on. Bad Bunny at Backlash and the way he's been with the Judgment Day, he's earned it. Like kudos to Senor Money in the Bank.
Let me ask you this to close out this match before we go on to another. We're right in July, half a year left. Let's just split it down the middle, 180 days.
Yeah.
Do you think he will keep the briefcase for more or less than half a year?
Less.
I'll say less as well.
Ooh, I'm hoping more.
Yeah.
I'm hoping
I'd love
more.
to see him cash in at WrestleMania.
Well, that would be more.
I know, but I'd like to see that happen. But no, it'll be less.
I'm hoping more, just because I want that internal with him and Finn to go for a little bit, not to be resolved in like a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Let that go. Let that go to SummerSlam. I just want him to elevate his status holding that briefcase and go to megastar, because he's not
well deserved.
He's not a Roman. He's not up to that upper level. Can he get there? Absolutely. Get to the Drew type status. I would say he can get to. That's probably his next step, is to that. He's not a Cody, Seth yet. That's going to take a lot of time and a lot of luck to get to that level. Can he get there? Absolutely. And he'll get there by holding it for more than half a year.
Yeah, it's off to a good start already with what happened on Monday's Raw with Seth, and how Finn ended up kind of blowing things at the end. So that's a fun dynamic. And yeah, I think, when I wasn't really thinking about it in the moment of going with my gut and finally saying LA Knight has to win, was, yes, they were saying now that like he can cash in on any championship and anybody can, right? But I think you just logically want to say it's going to be the heavyweight championship or Roman's Universal Championship, I guess, in a smaller sense. And I didn't see that happening with LA Knight for Roman. And it didn't make sense to have LA Knight beat who? Seth Rollins, right? That's why that angle that we talked about, Joe, of Finn wins.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can have a cash in that night. It's like, okay, there's
but
the
he did come out and like plant the seed. So it's like, it was, yes.
No, they did. And just because
it was the best pick. But
I didn't, LA Knight would have to do that if Finn wins, right? Because it's like, the crowd loves Seth Rollins. So it doesn't make sense to have LA Knight cash in on Seth Rollins with way his popularity is going. So I'm a little, I hope it's a good direction. We'll call him out if it's not. It's similar to me, how I felt when Cody lost to Roman at WrestleMania. Like, boy, I don't know. Where do you go from here? Where do you go? And thankfully, the very next night they went to Brock Lesnar, and that's been a lot of fun for Cody. So, and now we had Dominic, and now Brock's back in the mix. So it's been good. He's not, he's not playing on wrestling on main event versus Shelton Benjamin or somebody.
Well, think about this. That was 3 months ago.
That's all I'm worried about.
3 months ago,
right.
Cody lost, and he's doing just fine.
Yeah, he had an interview or whatever, and he mentioned that John Cena said, "You don't need to have the championship to be the guy, to be the main eventer." And it's like, Cody doesn't need to have the championship. He's the top face of the company.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But yeah, congrats to Damian Priest. Women's Money in the Bank. Io Sky is the winner. We had Bailey knock her off the ladder, and that looked like, this is where it gets down. And then
Corey was so awesome on that.
What was his excuse? I don't remember.
He didn't know it. She didn't know it was Io.
Oh, that was Wade Barrett. Oh, excuse.
It was Wade Barrett.
Wade Barrett, because
it wasn't.
Yeah,
they
didn't
know. It was Wade Barrett.
Yeah,
she didn't know. It was instinct. You saw the ladder. Yeah. I loved it. Okay,
good.
Keep going.
Which, sorry, by the way, so glad they had Wade on commentary, being that they were in England. That made perfect sense.
He looked awesome. So proud of that moment too. Like anytime they showed him, he just had that look of like, this is amazing.
Yeah. No, it worked out really well. We had Becky get handcuffed by Trish Stratus and Zoe, but not all the way. And then Io ends up completing the handcuff on Becky to Bailey in the middle of the ladder, which allowed her to climb on top and get the briefcase. And I know you guys loved, especially the finish of this match. You guys were doing the no spoilers texting me about how cool this turned out to be.
The ladies brought it.
Yeah.
Best match of the night.
It was
the best match of the night. The women's Money in the Bank match, like even talking with my wife too, she was just like, good luck beating that match, because it's like all 6 of them did such an outstanding job. Like it blew the men's out of the water, which the men's was good. But they told the ultimate story, especially at the end. Io climbed over Bailey to get to the top. It's like Io is climbing over Bailey in damage control. She's using Bailey to reach her goal. That was brilliant storytelling.
Yeah, every lady looked strong. Zelina got some offense.
She looked great.
Zoe looked like a beast. Trish broke her nose 5 minutes into the match. It was like crooked. And
I know. That was funny.
Every female looked phenomenal. And the reason why partially I'm so high on this match, women's Money in the Banks have been good, but there hasn't been many great ones. Where men's, there's been so many great ones. So when the women bring it on a show and the guys are good, and you could say the women's match was even so much better, any one of those women could have won, and it wouldn't have affected my outcome in thinking the match was great. But Io winning, seeing her so happy, and in the press conference, it was awesome. Somebody asked "Oh, are there cracks?" And it was like Io and Bailey. "Oh, are there cracks in damage control?" And Io's like, "No, we won. Yep. We won. There's going to be some fun stuff leading in that." Io, same thing with Damian, right? Backlash, that match against Bianca. Sold.
I think Backlash sold both of those two on being the Money in the Bank winners. I think their performances at Backlash gave
Io
them
sold me when she put the damn trash can in NXT and jumped off the cake.
right.
Like
that
the
was
woman
classic.
At War Games.
Like,
oh my god,
she has a great look, amazing wrestler. She speaks decent on the mic, right? And she just like gives that glance where it's like she looks like she wants to like hurt you so bad, and then it's like then she smiles and it's like, oh, it's weird. I'm more thinking she's more scary than Asuka, and Asuka is supposed to be scary, if that makes sense. Because Io, I really legitimately think she'll beat your ass, and Asuka smiles too much.
It's interesting. Yeah. Couple
It's so
different
good.
dynamics there
Yeah,
with both of them. I know Joe was especially happy we didn't get the Charlotte interruption run after SmackDown, because it could have been that way. But yeah, congrats to Io. There's some fun things. They had a little fun thing. I don't know if any of you two saw the after show press conference, but when Io and Bailey, they came up together to answer some questions. Bailey still had the handcuff on.
Oh, yeah.
And so the reporter's question was just like, Io, how's your guys' relationship? You guys had some moments in there, and now you're the champion, or you have the briefcase. And what do you think about all of this? And Io's like, no, damage control won. We won. Like, we're good. And together they went to like hold up the belt, and like you just see the handcuff like dangling from Bailey as like her arm plops down and makes this clank. Like, oh yeah, I still have this on. So that was fun. And then we had a couple surprises, guys. First time since WrestleMania, Drew McIntyre, huge pop for Drew. He takes out Gunther. Certainly seems like we're getting Drew and Gunther headed to SummerSlam. Thrilled about that. Ooh. Do you think Drew could be the one to end the Gunther reign?
Oh,
eventually, but I hope not at SummerSlam. I want this to last longer.
Wow.
Yeah, okay. I feel like Drew's going to come this. We're not doing a prediction show, but I feel like he's going to come so close, right? But to end that Gunther train in July, I don't know.
It'll be August 5th.
Technically, it'll be August, but
yeah,
that's the best thing.
But Gunther's going to have to move up to the next level eventually.
Correct. But this is the thing. So say if he goes in August, that's a long way to be kind of like, okay, are you going to go against Roman? Nope. Because you're not going to win the Rumble. So you have to be going against Seth. Mm-hmm. But Seth's going to be inside that Damian Finn. I'm not giving a prediction, but that match is going to be fireworks at SummerSlam. It's going to be awesome. Could he win? Absolutely. Drew could win. Will he win? We'll find out.
No, we win that match. We win that match. When I heard the sword and the like bagpipes playing, I jumped off of my chair like it was like, Maury Povich told me I was not the father. I was I was like, wow.
All right.
I was so excited that Drew was back for Gunther because selfish reasons. I went SummerSlam. I'm going to be at SummerSlam.
Yeah. It's fun thinking about this
match. I'm going to see this match live. It's totally worth it. Amazing. I was so happy. Like the match was a throwaway match. It didn't even matter. Like we knew Riddle wasn't going to win. And
right. He's coming in on one leg.
It was only 7 minutes long.
Yeah.
So it's like they didn't drag it out. No. But I think Drew's entrance and like everything was longer than the actual match, but it was worth it. Oh, so happy. So happy for that for that moment.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm at 50-50, guys. I haven't felt that way in a long time. I think the only thing that's going to be keeping me like maybe to finalize what I'm doing is I think they've started to do the acknowledgements on the commentary about like, only the honky tonk man has had a longer reign. So, how close is he? I'd have to look it up again. So maybe they want to wait until he breaks the record to then finally lose it. So that plays in the back of my head a little bit, but it was great. It was great to see him. And that's going to be a hell of a match because we saw a little bit of that at WrestleMania with the triple threat with Sheamus. So, it's going to be a hard hitting, ass kicking match.
For sure.
Finally, John Cena, completely, again, unexpected, no spoilers, nothing. It was amazing to have him come on out. He's interrupted by Grayson Waller, who ends up taking the AA for his troubles. And Cena's message was basically, let's bring WrestleMania to London, which of course the crowd loved. Guys, and we already teased it a little. We had one day Money in the Bank in London, start at 3 p.m. Eastern time for us. How do you feel if we're getting 2 days, we get a whole weekend, 3 p.m. Mania in London, which, I guess we got Philly next year. And then I think it's off the table and nothing's set for Mania 41. So it could be, just a year and a half from now.
Before we get into that, Joe, how long was the Civil War match? 32 minutes?
32 minutes. A little over 32 minutes.
Then long. It got amazing. Cena felt like he was out there for 4 hours.
Okay.
For me. I mean, at the beginning,
Cena was the opposite. I agree.
First 2 minutes, amazing.
Right.
3 minutes, amazing. 4 or 5 minutes. But then it literally went on and on and on and on. And Grayson Waller came out. I'm like, okay, thankfully for something. And then it like that one dragged on. It was just that I got what he was doing, but fuck, like it was way too long. But if they came to get back on the question, they came to Mania 2 days at that time. I'll take it.
Okay.
I'll take it. Shit, they can do an 8-hour Mania one day for all I care if it starts at 3 p.m. in the afternoon.
Especially on a Saturday.
Well,
Exactly.
for England, it would go till 4 a.m, I think.
Oh shit, those pubs are going to go crazy.
That's true.
Right. If it's actually going to happen a year after Philly, maybe.
I love
in the next 10 years, probably.
I would love it. I would absolutely love it for the simple fact of I want a 3 p.m. Mania start. I mean, when was the last time Mania started on the East Coast before that time? Like WrestleMania 9 at Caesar's Palace.
Right.
Started
they
at
would
like
have
5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah. Good call.
I don't know. And that was a terrible WrestleMania, but whatever. Kevin sent a text message to me that went, "This is dragging." I feel like it was opposite Bloodline match.
Yeah.
It started strong, but then went on forever, while the Bloodline match started weak and then finally picked up. Mm-hmm. Grayson Waller coming out made it seem like it even lasted longer. I don't think Grayson Waller brought anything to the table. He was misused at that moment.
Wow. Okay.
I think he was misused there, and it didn't do him any favors. It didn't do John Cena any favors. I think he could have just said, let's bring Mania to the O2 and then been done with it.
All right. Interesting. Yeah, no, I thought Waller did a fine job. He's been great on the mic since he's been on the main roster. Yeah, I don't know about the whole weekend, guys. I don't know, man. 2 days. I mean, listen, the crowd deserves it. And AEW's got what? All In, right? Coming up in Wembley. So you got to figure it's going to be a similar atmosphere, just on a bigger scale, because I think I read they've sold 70,000 tickets. So they would do that for WrestleMania. So I would love to see it, but I'm also a little like, God damn it, am I going to have to do a DVR? Well, not DVR, but just you have to watch on the network one time, on Saturday night or on Sunday night. So
it wouldn't be nice. It'd be in the afternoon.
That's what I'm saying. With me and my schedule and my life, I don't know if I can pull off I'm on the couch on the couch at 3 o'clock until 7:30, let's say, on a Saturday and a Sunday. One day, yes, I could go. It's WrestleMania. 2 days, I don't know. It might take some creative negotiations of I got to do X amount of this chore or whatever. You drive the girls to this practice. I don't know. I'm not looking forward to having to make that proposition if it comes down to it.
I think it's easy. Just put up the recording in progress sign.
Yeah. WrestleMania in progress.
Thanks, Harper.
Hey, thanks, Harper.
You saved me. Well, and I talk about this.
And you can have date night right afterwards. I mean, come on. You can have your Mania
true. Okay,
and
there's
still
an
go
angle
out
there.
afterwards. Like, do that. Be like, I can have my Mania.
And eat your cake too.
And then you can go out to like dinner afterwards, like whatever.
Okay.
Like,
all right. There's a good angle I hadn't thought of.
You can't do that for WrestleMania weekend when it's in the States, because it's like it starts at 8, ends after midnight.
Right.
Then you go to work on Monday and you're exhausted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now it's like, Sunday it ends at like, 8 o'clock or whatever. You're like, okay, I can actually watch a movie and then go to bed, or I can do whatever.
Decompress at the very least. Yeah.
You can really enjoy the post-Mania conference and like socials and everything like that. While now it's like on the East Coast, it turns into you're done. It's midnight. As much as I want to like go and see what the world is saying about it, I'm going to bed. I got to work in the morning. You don't have to do that in England. Have it overseas all the time.
You don't. Okay.
Have it overseas all the time. Love it.
I'm in my 40s.
No more America
I don't give a
Mania
crap anymore.
Where you at NXT UK?
We're going to Barcelona. We're going to Paris.
Australia.
Everywhere.
If it's in Australia, it'll be on at 10 a.m.
Right. Waller was pushing Australia. So yeah, it is the world wrestling entertainment. So if they want to live up to the world
just
part of it,
imagine if the Super Bowl went overseas. I mean, like, think about that. This is something that, like, if you're world wrestling entertainment, you have to have your biggest event everywhere.
At the Hartford Civic Center. Right. I agree. Wait. Okay. No,
Yes.
that's not what you were saying. Yeah. Home of the Whalers.
R.I.P.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I appreciate the sell on that. I'm going to keep that in the back of my mind for possibly a future date, it sounds like. As for Money in the Bank, as we talked about, I was only able to watch some of it live. And then we were headed to the Royal Oak Taco Fest, where I at least was excited that there was going to be Lucha Libre wrestling. So guys, I got out there on Saturday. And do you guys remember Psychosis?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Do you remember, I think his name was Super Callow?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. Well, neither of them were there.
Was El Dandy there?
Who?
El Dandy?
El Dandy wasn't there.
What about Super Crazy? Was he there?
Super Crazy was neither super nor
how about
crazy,
somewhat crazy?
Nor there. It's
How about
moderately
no
crazy?
crazy?
His cousin.
No mas crazy.
Guys, what actually happened on Saturday? We got rained out.
Oh,
It rained, and we were about to leave, and it was raining, and the forecast had chance of rain. So we did not even go.
What?
Yes,
and you didn't watch
because of
Money
the
in the
chance
Bank
of
live?
rain.
And you still didn't watch Money in the Bank?
So the plan B was the friend that said, let's go to Taco Fest, said, hey, just come on over. Come on over. We'll have drinks and cook up like, mini frozen tacos or whatever. So that's what we did. And by the time we left, it was like, I think 8:15 and it really didn't rain after that. So I was like since we were at the house, I was like, Jesus. But I was like, all right, whatever. Let's just go. We were just snacking. Let's just get some food and then we'll go home. However, the Taco Fest ran through July 4th. And so I was able to go back and finally go on Monday. And my wife had to work. So I took Angela. That's my wife.
Angela's your wife.
Yes. So I left her at home while she worked. I took Harper and Fiona. And I think it actually was a lot better because it was Monday at like 1:45 or something. A lot of people took Monday off of work, but a lot of people didn't. It's the middle of the day, so it just wasn't busy at all. And after, doing the kids' activities and whatever, we found the wrestling ring and saw a little Lucha Libre. There was actually a guy I seen from some viral video named like Soul Taker. And I'll see if I can find it. And he was cutting a promo and he was hyping up their matches later in the night. And then we had the main event. And it was some champion versus some other jabron. The champion was Axiom from NXT's like cousin. He had the same sort of look. And I'll try to put together a little video. Harper was asking me a million questions about like, how does he beat him? He has to count to 3. That doesn't make sense. Like those things. I asked Fiona if she wants to be a wrestler and she said no, so there's some good moments. So I caught some wrestling. It just wasn't my initial plan, Saturday night wrestling, as it turned out to be. So wanted to make sure I shared that with you guys.
For those of you who were not watching on YouTube and just listening on podcast channel, Kevin and I were giving thumbs down basically the whole time. The whole time Brian was talking how he didn't watch Money in the Bank and it got rained out. You could have watched it.
I couldn't. The plan B was made. It was, hey, it looks like rain, so we're gonna go over to the house now. I was like, oh, okay, got it.
I understand.
Yeah,
but it doesn't make me less disappointed.
Fair enough. I'm not looking for the approval, but want to make sure we're all we speak honestly on this program. So I had to give you guys.
It wouldn't be the first time someone was disappointed in this show this week.
Yes. Speaking of which, if you follow the show on Twitter, nice job, Joe, at that WrestlePod, you'll see on the morning of 4th of July, we wished everyone a happy 4th of July. We put out what I thought was a fun Twitter poll. Who is your favorite patriotic wrestler? And the choices that I came up with were Hulk Hogan, Kurt Angle, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and Cody Rhodes. And here's what happens. The poll goes up. I checked it a couple hours later. It had no votes, which is fine. I'm like, hey, whatever. It's 4th of July. Well, who cares? Then I check again later, and I see we have like 500 votes, and we have a ton of retweets and comments because the one and only Sergeant Slaughter saw the poll, and he commented, "None of the above," and tagged himself. So that blows up. We ended up with nearly 1,600 votes of this patriotic poll. And I'll tell you guys, when I was thinking of this poll, I did initially have Sergeant Slaughter as my 4th, but then I thought some more, and I thought, I wonder how Cody would do in this poll. No, I didn't think he'd win, but he is the American Nightmare. He's got red, white, and blue robes and tights and outfits. He's got a fucking red, white, and blue tattoo on his neck. I thought, hey, he's insanely popular right now. He's the only active wrestler of the 4. Let's throw him in there and see how he does. Well, somehow, Sergeant Slaughter finds the poll. There was no tags of WWE or anything. I didn't say, hey, Sergeant Slaughter, what do you think of this? He just found it somehow. He was just searching for patriotic wrestling content on Twitter. So we ended up issuing an apology saying that we clearly made a mistake because, my God, Sergeant Slaughter puts it out there, and every schmo on the internet was just like, yeah, how could you not have Sergeant Slaughter on there? What the hell's wrong with you guys? Cody Rhodes, dude. And I just said, I wish we could have had more than 4 choices. Hey, Elon, can we get?
Yeah, I like that. I like that you called out the owner of Twitter.
I did.
Like, yeah, it's his fault. It's his fault.
If anyone can fix Twitter to give me more than 4 choices, it's
fix
Elon.
It, break it, whatever you want to call it.
That's the way to have to happen. So, Sergeant Slaughter, when I say, we apologize, we regret the error. Sergeant Slaughter, we love you. Sergeant Slaughter says, like, that's fine. Now drop and give me 20, which I did film. This is 4th of July afternoon. I'm 6 beers into my day already. And I did that, and I posted that. So if you want to see me do 20 push-ups, that's on there. You should have
filmed it with you facing the camera, not your feet.
Like I said, I was 6 beers in.
I understand. You even said that too. It's
my
like
mother-in-law. My mother-in-law.
You sent a text message saying, I need another beer before I do this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And I saw it. I'm like, oh man, he's doing his feet. Oh, well.
Point remains. But yes, that in retrospect.
You did it though. You did the right thing.
I did. He is now following our page, guys. So hopefully we're cool. And I think, Kevin, Sarge is at WrestleCon. In Detroit, so we may have to go, and I may have to.
You have to
say, hey, that was me. Don't
apologize.
Put the Cobra clutch on me. Right. We might have to do that. I'll confirm. I'm pretty sure I saw him on the list. Guys, what did you make of all this? Can you see my logic in putting Cody on the poll?
100%. I see the logic.
No, Thank you, Kevin.
I do.
That's all the time we have, Joe. That's all the time we have. Moving on.
Old school, or I'll say old school, a little bit newer, right, with the angle, and then with Cody for the kind of like the
current generation
in there. And you maybe didn't put Slaughter because he turned his back on the U.S. and
the Iraqi sympathizer, but he did mention that was Vince's idea on the Twitter thread.
But I don't mind the ranking.
Yes,
I honestly, if you would have put him in there, I don't think he would have won.
I don't think he would have won either, but he deserved to be.
Anyway.
I think he should have been in the top 4.
He would have been higher than Cody.
He should have been above Cody. Like,
yes.
Tell the truth, Dusty should have been above Cody. He was the American dream.
I thought about that. Yeah,
I mean,
but again, I was thinking
Cody's nice to say, but it's like Dusty represents the American dream. He's a son of the plumber. American, he's a hardworking. He's the American. He's just a common man. Whatever, but. Sergeant Slaughter should have been in the top 4. You can say, Kevin, you mentioned the Sarge being the Iraqi sympathizer. Hacksaw Jim Duggan joined Team Canada in WCW. I mean, that could be so. I think it was the right choice having Hogan on there. Kurt Angle, come on. Did you know? Here's a fun fact. He won 2 gold medals with a broken freaking neck. I don't think anyone knows that one. That's a breaking
fun
news.
fact of the day.
Did he really?
Yeah, he did.
I'm just kidding.
And you know, Hacksaw. I mean, but Sarge should have been number 4. I mean, he was on G.I. Joe.
I know.
Real American hero.
I overthought it. I literally had Sarge as my 4.
But everything works out for a reason, though.
It did. It really did. So
you know what? When it comes to here's the thing. Like Brian, it worked out.
It did.
Sarge is following the show right now, and we respect you. We love you. We did the 20 push-ups for you. I thought it was great for the simple fact because whenever anyone does a poll or anyone does like a top 10 list or whatever, a lot of times people are doing it just to be trolls, right? Yeah, thank you very much, Sarge. People are doing it just to be trolls.
What am I?
You weren't doing it. Here's the thing: you weren't doing it to be a troll. You were doing it for the sake of, like, you know, trying to get a pull up there, having some fun. It was your birthday, and the Sarge like called you out on your own birthday. So like, I thought it was great, and I would have put Sarge on there. But you know what? If you did, it wouldn't have got the traction that it did.
Probably not. Yeah.
So it worked out.
Yeah. And it was fun to watch some of the replies because, of course, first off, a lot of people were like, yeah, Sergeant Slaughter. But some people had like Lex Luger, Lex Express.
Yep,
the Patriot. Like, how could you have a list of not the top 4 Patriots without putting the Patriot on there?
Because he was only in the Fed for like 4 months.
Right. 1 or 2 people had Dusty Rhodes on there. Somebody had Iron Sheik on there, so that was a good one. So, you know, it runs the gamut on Twitter. So yeah, maybe we'll have a little to be continued with Sarge at WrestleCon in about a month.
Maggot.
Yeah, that might be in the cards for me.
Why didn't you have Lacey Evans on there?
Yeah, I know. Shocking. Just didn't make the cut, Joe.
So realistically, you should have put Hogan, Hacksaw, Kurt,
and
other name your 4th.
Put naming comment or whatever.
Yeah, that could have been fine too.
I think it's tough though, because like if you think about it, when it comes down to that 3rd spot, Hacksaw versus Sarge. Sarge at least was a WWF champion. Hacksaw wasn't.
Yeah, but Hacksaw at least chant USA when he needs a little bit of oomph to get him going, man.
But Sarge's entrance music was like the military drums and everything. I mean, like, come on. And Sarge was a mail-in figure for G.I. Joe, which I did. That was like the coolest thing. But I mean, Sergeant Slaughter he should have, I don't know.
He's big.
He's big. He's bigger than we gave him credit for.
Yes. I think the final results were Hulk 37%. Kurt and Hacksaw are basically tied.
Like I have 20. It right in front of me.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, you do? Nice.
Nope, you're right. You 20.
Okay.
37 Hogan, Kurt Angle, Hacksaw 28 each, Cody 7.
Cody was 7. So yeah,
Cody
clearly a fourth choice on those of 4. So all right, fun times there. Quickly on Monday Night Raw, touch on a couple things that maybe we didn't at least discuss as part of like Money in the Bank. We had the out of nowhere Shayna Baszler attack on Ronda Rousey in the middle of their match. Money in the Bank. That was all up. Okay. Where did that come from?
It came from because Shayna got tagged in by Ronda when Shayna was still wrestling. That was a straw that broke the camel's back.
That was
Ronda tagged herself in. And Shayna just gave a look like, what? I didn't
catch that. Okay.
I didn't catch that until the Monday night replay. And I went, oh, this makes sense now. That's what finally broke Shayna. Was Ronda tagged herself in to finish the match when Shayna was doing all the work.
Interesting. But yeah,
I think Shayna's a face on this one.
Oh, 100%.
Well, did you see that promo? Because that was fantastic, talking about how she paid her dues and she loves this, and you make me not want to love this, and you just walked into WrestleMania. I couldn't believe it. And yeah, the crowd was fully behind Shayna Baszler. Like, yeah,
usually the
right.
one who attacks isn't the face, but this time, yes.
Right. Did you guys love this as much as I did? I was floored. And what, admittedly, Joe, I think from Money in the Bank, where we could have said, dud, like we got something here, even though it's not where any of us thought it was going, but
it wasn't a dud. It was just, it was but it was
right.
more of the angle, not the match. But Shayna did the right thing. And if Ronda's leaving again, this is the Shayna we've been wanting since 2020. Shayna's pretty much been on a downward spiral since she bit Becky before the pandemic started.
Yeah.
So this could finally get her to where being the Queen of Spades. We need it. Yes. She needs it. The women's division needs it, especially on Raw.
Well, it's nice because give her the win over Ronda, clean, right? Io has the briefcase for Raw. It brings that, adrenaline to the arm type situation. Oh, fuck. I'm a drug.
Oh, yeah.
Right. But look at the women's division
so now it
on
balances
Raw.
out. Yeah.
Rhea Ripley's not really facing anyone.
Yeah, she needs to.
I've been thinking about that. And then her and Natty pulled off a fantastic match. And
I'll give kudos to Natty because that was the first time I enjoyed seeing Natty in a match, and I would say ever.
Thank you. I said the same thing. It was like, whoa. Like
she came out whooping right away.
I found myself rooting, like when it was later in the match. I was like, if she puts the sharpshooter on, she might win. I was invested, and I couldn't believe in July of 2023 of this great world of ours, I was invested in a Natalya match, and somehow they did that to me on Raw. And I'm glad, at least Kevin, and you're saying, so Joe, back us up or not.
Oh, I'm backing you up.
Were we crazy? I couldn't believe what I was saying.
I didn't think she was going to win, but I was so glad that they gave it time.
Yeah,
she deserved it. And did you not see that she got 6 more Guinness World Records over the
weekend?
I didn't
bother reading what they were.
They were most women's matches in the in wrestling, most wins, most premium live events, and I forgot what the other ones, but those are the 3 big ones. It's like, and she's like 200 wins above like Charlotte, Becky, and everyone. And I thought about it, and I went like this. It's because Natty's always there. She doesn't take months off. She Natty is the workhorse of the women's division.
Completely.
So she's never left. She deserves the praise that we're giving her right now. I know that, Kevin, not a fan of her. She's like your Charlotte to me, but she's the workhorse of the women's division. She doesn't take the time off. Whatever they give her, she tries to make the best of it. I mean, she survived a farting gimmick. Let's just go with that.
I remember that.
I'll give you hit it when you said she tries to make the best of it. She's been given every tag partner on the face of the earth. And she tries.
Yes.
Most of them fail. Most of them are boring. But Natty,
she's what Dana Brooke is trying to be, but doesn't have the talent to be.
That's very good.
And she's somebody that doesn't always have the direction. Like 1 week it seems like she's a heel, and the next week she might be a face. Like there's not a whole lot of definitive switching and reasons why. It's just like you said, tag team partners galore. I think she faced Ronda Rousey at Money in the Bank last year when Liv Morgan cashed in. So
that's when Ronda hurt her ankle, was from the extended sharpshooter. So she has the legitimacy to cause damage too. I give her props. Never thought of it before Monday, but I'm like, she deserves it.
So for that Ronda feud, I think she was the bad guy from what I remember, and it's probably been back and forth a million times over by now. That it's just like
the Big Show,
completely. So to see a standout anything at this point after all she's done, I couldn't believe it. So that was really cool, and it does look like we are going to get Logan Paul and Ricochet. guys, that spot in Money in the Bank of the off the ropes and we're losing our balance and we still do the Spanish fly through the tables. Whoa, that was one of those whoo, like that could have been so much worse. But they pulled it off, and yeah, Ricochet invited Logan to Raw next week. It looks like they shot a backstage angle where they were brawling. So again, looking like the road to SummerSlam for those two. We've talked a little bit about this. You guys feel the same after kind of what's transpired?
If Ricochet can bring it on the mic, I think, I'm telling you, man, I think Logan's going to bring out some good zingers.
Yeah.
If Ricochet can bring it on the mic, Ricochet will go like this to that, because Ricochet's mid, right? Amazing in the ring. Overall talent, he's like mid card. He can propel up to being kind of where like Damian Priest is now, right? With a good program with Logan. How they balanced for a little bit and was able to pull that off and still hit the tables, that's just because both of them are athletic freaks.
Yes.
Athletic freaks. When he's frog splashed onto Damian and that bounced off his rib cage, and the crowd still
on the ladder. Ouch!
You still suck. Acknowledging he did a great move, but you still suck. But him and Ricochet, that I would love to see it just be like a ladder match or something crazy, because let's say, hey, let's roll it back. Let's do a ladder match, me versus you. Even if it's just no championship, I don't even know what the hell they would.
Then what would they go after? Prime?
I don't even know, but something would be insane. But I'm excited for it. I'm more excited for it now since they brawled it and it's actually happening. But I really hope Ricochet can bring it on the mic. That's my biggest fear. Match will be amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Well,
pat on the back to Joe. Pat the other side of your back.
I would just like to, I'm going to pat my back again, Barry Horowitz. I'm going to call myself Joe Stradamus on this one. I've been saying for weeks, Ricochet, Logan Paul. And I said it's like it was set up from Royal Rumble. This is long-term storytelling at its finest. Mm-hmm. They did it at Money in the Bank. They set up something for there too. And it's like, it doesn't have to be for anything. They're two athletic freaks who are just who's going to win this match? The fans. And luckily we're going to be at that one too, the way it's setting up. Yeah. It's like this SummerSlam is like going to knock in last year's out of the park, the way they're setting it up so far. And what type of match I would want to see here? It's a lame setup. It's a lame storyline. But if it means no disqualifications, call it a Motor City street fight.
Yeah. And
they can do whatever they want.
So they can be out on the second level balcony and
they can be anywhere they want. Call it a Motor City street fight. They can show their athletic prowess throughout the whole thing. The point is, this is a match where both competitors elevate afterwards, but Logan Paul has to win. He hasn't won in forever. Ricochet, just getting the rub from being in a match with Logan Paul because he is as big as he is, is going to elevate as well. This is brilliant on both ends, and I called it. And Kevin was like, "Why? Because they had that one spot." Kevin, you were.
Well, they had a spot 6 months ago. That's not storytelling. That's one move at a Royal Rumble.
But it was setting up for SummerSlam.
No, you're only saying it's setting up because that match is actually
because it's happening. Because it's happening.
That's it.
I'm saying it because it's actually happening. I said it back then, and it's like it's happening now.
Well, they knew what
they had.
Then
they knew what they had in January. Yeah. They knew what they had in January, but they already had WrestleMania set for Logan Paul with Seth Rollins. They had to get past that, but they knew they had something special.
Oh fuck! Then Drew Carey should have been at fucking SummerSlam 15.
What, against Kane?
Yeah, he was it. Let's go back. Let's take a look and see.
Drew Carey is a Hall of Famer.
That's true.
He is.
That's true.
Demolition is not.
Terrible. Well,
what did you think, Brian?
Well, again, going back to just that spot, that was just like a no, don't die. Okay, like that was not quite as how it should have gone, but you made it work, thankfully. honestly, guys, maybe I'll know more after what we see LA Knight does on SmackDown, because they had some fun interactions like on the SmackDown before Money in the Bank and during the Money in the Bank match that I'm like, that's fun. We can still play off of the LA Knight nickname of like the mega star, and the Logan Paul's the celebrity, and you do that. So I think
side debate here. If it was going to be Logan Paul versus LA Knight, how does that benefit both guys? Because Logan Paul, I just said, I don't know if you agree with me or not, but I think you should. Logan Paul needs to win at SummerSlam.
I know what you're saying, yeah, because he's lost a couple in a row.
Right. I mean, they've been big matches, but he has lost a couple big matches in a row where he needs to beat someone. If Logan Paul faced LA Knight and Logan Paul beat LA Knight, doesn't that do more damage to LA Knight? While if Logan Paul beats Ricochet, even being in that match still goes up.
I think Ricochet, Logan Paul. Yeah. Oh, sorry, go on.
No, Ricochet is Teflon proof because of his just in-ring ability and what he can do that hardly anybody else on the roster, maybe an Ali or Escobar can do. So he's the unique.
One and only.
We want to. If only they put that in his entrance theme song.
And only.
So yes, if you look at the picture of just Logan should win at SummerSlam, I would have Ricochet be that guy. Like I said though, but if we get to SmackDown and it looks like they're setting up LA Knight versus R-Truth or some bullshit, that all respect to R-Truth, love him. But if it's not a program that's a high profile thing, like an Austin Theory, like we talked about, I may think differently still of like, wait a minute, guys, what are we doing with LA Knight here when he could have been doing this with Logan Paul? So maybe I'll know more next week for sure. But I do agree with you on your point about Logan should win, Joe.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, love that SummerSlam's card is starting to shape up, and we'll be watching it very closely as we get toward August 5th. The one thing, too, that we can look forward to on SmackDown is the return of Edge. He is back Friday night there at Madison Square Garden, so that should be a great crowd, as it usually is. Grayson Waller effect, guys, Edge has said the clock is ticking. He knows he doesn't have much time left. We might be on his final feud. You never know. This might be it. Who would you like to see him feud with next? I'll go first if you guys don't mind. I'm going to go with a kind of an out of the box one. But I like the dynamic of it. Bobby Lashley.
Oh,
he hasn't been on SmackDown. He got drafted. They've been doing some promos saying like he's coming. So I kind of like the angle of like Edge, setting up his like last run and Lashley wanting to make an impact on SmackDown of like, I'm here and I'm putting you out for good. And we get badass Lashley and Edge. And it's an interesting, a kind of a weird matchup. Like Edge and AJ Styles seems like stylistically makes sense. Edge and Seth Rollins made sense. It's a little different. I'm not sure how the matches would be, but I think that'd be a feud that I'd go, let's see how this plays out.
That's not bad. I like it.
Thanks.
I didn't think about it. I like it. I was thinking Karrion Kross and AJ have been having their little, matchup, and they're going to fight on Friday. I would like to see actually an Edge versus Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross kind of like
I can see that
supernaturally. And Edge can bring out, Rude Edge, or he can bring out other style edges. I'd like that. Kind of propel Karrion a little bit, nothing against AJ. That little thing seems like it's been going on for a long time, and it really hasn't. So I would say Karrion Kross.
All right, love that.
If Edge ends up being a face, then yes, that would make sense. Karrion Kross, I was thinking that too. But if Edge is really winding it down, what side has he always been best as?
Oh, heel, 100%.
Rated on.
I'll say 99%, because there's been some good face stuff.
Good face stuff, but mostly the heel. If he's going to go out, and he's going out, go against someone where it doesn't really matter. It's just going to be great storyline, great matches. Rey Mysterio.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's fun.
Very nice.
Like, because
They have history.
it will, when you think long term, someone like Edge giving the rub to LWO.
Yes. Yeah.
Let them grow. I mean, this version of the LWO has already lasted longer than WCW's version of the LWO. So we might as well like make it a real commodity here. So yeah, you know what? I couldn't think of anything because Edge being back is just really all we weren't expecting it anyway. So
right, everything's been gravy for the last
and Rey Mysterio still
years,
wrestling right now.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's just end it off with those two.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
I see that too. Big time.
We'll see what comes of it on Friday. Lashley for me, Karrion Kross for Kev, and Rey Mysterio for Joe. So we'll wrap up this week's show with we haven't done one of these in a long time, a TWP draft. And Edge, in the last week or so, been celebrating 25 years of Edge as his debut match on a Monday Night Raw against it was Jose Estrada of the Los Boricuas, I think they showed. And they had a great video. You can probably find it on the WWE YouTube channel of him rewatching moments, just like Foley and Taker from Hell in a Cell, talking about how he felt about this and that. So look for that. That's worth your watch. So we're each going to draft 3 favorite moments. It's just like any other draft. You can't have a moment drafted more than once. And guys, I put the draft order so that we'll each have a first pick, a second pick, a third pick. So I'll just call your name and you can go with your pick. And Joe, I will acknowledge you. You did say Roman Reigns is taking the pin at Money in the Bank. So I think you get the very first pick of the entire draft for your favorite Edge moments.
Favorite Edge moment started a revolution. It started at New Year's Revolution, the first cash in against John Cena after it. Like, come on. I don't even have to say anything else. That is the number one Edge moment.
Do you know where you were?
I already won.
Do you know where you were?
I already won.
Stop.
I already won.
There's
where
3
was
rounds to this draft.
I was at home watching on an illegal feed and just like, oh, Cena won again. Oh, against Carlito. Who cares? But then Vince comes out. I'm like, wait a minute. Because Edge had a match earlier that night against Ric Flair.
Oh.
So it's like, wait. And it was like the second match. So it was like, throwaway.
You forgot about him.
You forgot about Edge. And it's like when he did it, and it's like, it makes perfect sense.
Love it.
So,
yeah, I was at NCG.
He started it.
Were you?
I was at NCG for $5. Saw Cena last through all the competitors in the Elimination Chamber. And then Vince comes out and he says, Edge is cashing in.
We have one more match. The night's not over yet.
I remember I was like,
someone is cashing in his Money in the Bank.
Oh,
and
so
Vince
excited.
gave that look like,
So
you better
excited.
be right about this.
Yep.
Isn't that a fun look back of like, so the very first one, they had to like announce it to like let people know like things are still going on. Whereas now everybody just expects like
You're expecting
somebody's going to get beat up and then somebody's going to run in and get the 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
so,
that's the number one pick. I already won.
Yeah. Kevin, I'm giving you the second pick, my friend.
Perfect.
Of the first round.
My first pick would have been Joe's first pick, just saying. Mine is 280 days earlier. His WrestleMania 21 winning the Money in the Bank ladder match.
Wow.
It absolutely amazing. You know, Jericho proposed it, happened, is his kind of brainchild. And I did write on there the competitors in that match. If you guys forgot, Edge, of course, Chris Jericho, Chris Benoit, Shelton, the Money in the Bank. I would say Mount Rushmore of Money in the Banks, right? Yeah. Kane and Christian.
Okay, that's a hell of a lineup there. All right, so I get the number 3 pick, and it's actually was number 1 on my board.
Nice.
It's the Rumble 2020 return.
Yes.
And he'd been gone for so long, retired for so long, neck injury. I can't do this. I can't do that. And when he came out, and I know I've said this on this pod a couple of times, I feel like I jumped up and down and went crazy so much that I legitimately partially tore the MCL in my left leg. I walked with a limp the next day. because of fucking Edge coming out the Royal Rumble. I'm not in the Royal Rumble. I watched it at home. And the next day I was limping because I was jumping up and down like a fucking kid on Christmas Day. So that's my number one. It's everything else, no matter what he's done since, has been good, bad, or indifferent. That moment of him coming out, and you saw it in his face when he got to that close up, he was scared. He was crying practically. He was excited. It was just like every moment imaginable. I absolutely love that. And I love that entire Royal Rumble too. That's probably my second favorite Rumble of all time.
I felt the feels too.
Yeah, it was wild.
It's okay to admit.
What number did he come in at?
21.
Yes,
I think. Yeah,
yes,
I've seen
21.
it enough. I've seen it enough, guys. All right, so I'll go again then for the first pick in the second draft. I will go with the spear on Jeff Hardy at WrestleMania 17. Those guys had already had a TLC match, but that's one of those moments that we all know because, and you look at any sort of WrestleMania greatest moments or WWE's greatest hits, that moment of him jumping off the ladder, spearing Hardy and just putting him down, the crowd knows it instantly. They stand up. It's a moment that we'll always remember. It just defines how crazy that time was. So that is my first pick of round 2. Joe, you are up.
He is now. All right. I am, because it's round table, right?
No, it doesn't matter. You're going to get the first pick of the third round. Everybody's going like 1, 2, 3. So since you went second in round 1, you'll go third in round 2. Yeah, it's all the same.
Kevin, I'm sorry if I'm going to be stealing your pick right now because you're getting ready to go. But my second pick will be Edge spearing Foley into the flaming table at WrestleMania 22.
Yeah.
If New Year's Revolution established him as a champion, the spear into the table at WrestleMania, that's his WrestleMania moment. That established him as a main event player for the rest of his career. Mm-hmm. And I loved on the Edge and Christian show that totally reeked of awesomeness that used to be on the network when they had Foley on talking about that. And Foley's like, I go across the street to a payphone to call my wife. And her response was, is Edge okay? What do you mean is Edge okay? Because Edge, like his eye was all bloodshot. He was twitching. Like Lita had like blood coming out of her mouth from Mr. Sacco with the like freaking barbed wire on it.
Barbed wire.
That
Sacco.
Match is still a yearly watch for me. But Edge spearing him through that flaming table. Foley, if he does anything, he makes main eventers. He did it to Randy Orton, and then 2 years later, he did it to Edge.
Well said. All right, Kev, you're up.
Well, that was my pick in this whack ass draft.
Unbelievable.
But I won, right? I still won.
The TWP whack ass draft. I think we just rebranded.
No one's going to have my number 3 pick.
Go ahead there, Kev.
Oh, he's pretending to be frozen.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay.
Actually, it's my 5-second pose. I'll take it. Every single one.
Look what you did.
Every single one ever created.
Good job.
Just the creation of it. It was funny. It was, bringing some fun stuff back with Christian. Just the hilarity that came out of it. So I'll go with just the creation of the 5-second pose.
Love it. All right, Kev, then you get back to back. You're finishing off round number 3. Going through his draft board, folks.
I'm going through my manual tracker sheet.
Wow.
Let's hear from Mel Kipper on this one. Well, guys. No, just kidding.
We'll go. I think this might have been the illegal me actually watching a illegal one in my Lansing apartment. Edge surprise return 2010.
Wow.
Rumble.
The Royal Rumble.
Winning.
Yeah.
And I think I might have,
and
if I had my old phone looking at old texts, I'm pretty sure I was texting probably all y'all. And I remember, or it might have been there. And And there was not, well, I'll keep it PG because the live sex celebration was on there, but there might have been a live sex celebration after, not live.
Oh my God. This truly is the TWP whack ass draft after that.
I'm just teasing.
Insane comment.
Draft has been great. But I'll go Edge's surprise entrance back in the day with the W.
Our old friend Brad Tillery was there.
Was that in Phoenix?
I think it was in Atlanta.
Oh, Atlanta.
And,
okay.
You know, he's down there in the South. And I remember he posted a video like, I don't remember hearing Edge may return. And he was filming entrances. And you know how it is. It's 3, 2, 1. And there's like about a 1 second pause before the music hits. And I remember on this video, in that 1 second pause, he goes, "You think you know me?" And then it hits and he was like, "Bah!" So that was a cool moment, and that was on the top of my board. So my final pick, Edge spears John Cena through the table at ECW
Nice.
One Night Stand number 2, leading to Rob Van Dam winning the ECW and WWE championship. Edge, he was wearing like a motorcycle
with
helmet.
the motorcycle helmet,
and they were chanting, "Thank you, Edge."
Thank you, Edge. Yeah, and it was just part of one of my favorite matches of all time. I think that's my number 3, if I remember right. Just the crowd is off the charts.
I was at your apartment for that.
Yeah, I had you guys over.
I think we were all
Lansing apartment. Yeah, Brock was there. You know, who else?
Brock was there.
Were there.
Different Brock.
Brock. Yeah, not Brock Lesnar, but anyway, yeah, it was great. I mean, that match and just that was the height of the God damn, I hate you, Cena. Like, this fucking sucks. So to have him actually lose and Rob Van Dam, being an old ECW fan, be the champion was great, and it's thanks to Edge. So that is my final pick. And then, Joe, you're going to wrap it up, my friend.
All right, my last pick to wrap up my winning draft was one that never happened on television. It was at a house show.
Yeah.
Joe Louis Arena, 2001. It was after he won King of the Ring. He was a face at the time. It was during the invasion part. If you remember, he was like starting to become a fan favorite. Well, he comes to the Joe Louis Arena, and backstory, not to go too long, but I already did. The Avalanche won the Stanley Cup a couple weeks earlier. Heated rivals of the Detroit Red Wings. He came out and said, as a face to the Red Wing fans, you know, Toronto's a real hockey town, right? You guys aren't really hockey town.
Wow.
And like, they just start booing him. And it's like, whoa, we're supposed to be cheering you. And then he said, I'm bringing something back on my own, a 5-second pose. This one doesn't count, Kevin, because it was just him on his own. And then he put on an Avalanche jersey. And he said, This one is called Lord Stanley's Bitch. And then he did it to Red Wing fans. And like, he was a heel that night only for that year.
Yeah.
But it was amazing because like I don't know what it is. Like, I get it. Canadians like really have a problem with Hockey Town being called like Detroit, even though Red Wing fans call it Hockey Town USA. Yeah. Because in reality, Toronto is Hockey Town. But when it comes to the United States, it's still Detroit. It's not just a catchphrase. It's like basically, even when the Red Wings suck, they still have followers. But he was just like really playing off that the Avalanche won the Stanley Cup that year as a face, and he turned full heel on a Saturday night at Joe Louis Arena. And then on Monday Night Raw that Monday, he's still a face with his Stanley Cup King of the Ring going against the Alliance.
Nice.
That is my number 3. That's why house shows are the best.
Yeah. That's not on TV, so didn't count in the story, and made for a surprising but fun memory for you, buddy. That's great. Well, that's awesome. We'll see what happens with Edge on SmackDown. Great job with the TWP Whack Ass Draft. It's officially the name now, guys. I'm declaring it.
And I won.
Next week, we should have the AEW Fight Forever review from Barbara Ryan. He was hoping to be on tonight, but he's doing some different things. And so I said, hey, maybe next week will be better. So we'll look forward to that. And we'll talk about all things, of course, at the week that was in professional wrestling. YouTube.com/That Wrestling Podcast and at That WrestlePod for all your socials. Give us a follow. Hey, Sergeant Slaughter does. Maybe you should too. What I'm going to do for Top Tennis for the merchandise as well. Have a good one, everybody. Enjoy wrestling.
Thanks for watching That Wrestling Podcast on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. And for more That Wrestling Podcast content, follow at That WrestlePod on social media.